Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh abaya kulega. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh shozinya kule. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Uyakhuleka njalo. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Good morning. Whew, we are finally at day 3 of clearing into consciousness. It has arrived. It is here. The release. We're ready for it. Good morning. I'm so grateful for you to joining me today. You know, this work is not possible without the collective doing clearing into consciousness in this way is collective work. And at this moment in time, as we globally process a collective trauma, and even if we look at our individual traumas and we look at the things that we're carrying and where they come from and how systemic issues have bled into individual parts of our lives and our identities and how we show up in the world, it becomes clear to see how we need each other, because our traumas were not experienced in isolation. They happen to us as groups of people. They happen to us as subdivisions of humanity, whether it be by gender, by race, by sexual orientation, by the physical manifestations that we have, be they the color of our skin, the texture of our hair, the appendages that we have on the bodies that we move through in this world. Many of our traumas are created by systemic issues. And I think just how much that is real for us is made more evident by this pandemic, which is a collective trauma that we're all experiencing. There's grief, there's loss of life, there's loss of opportunities, security, income, home. And we're seeing it manifest in different ways at this moment in time. This grief. You know, I find it to be a strange sort of, I don't know, is it like a sick joke that in the body, grief sits in the lungs? This pandemic is taking from us at such a pace that we're overwhelmed with grief. And it attacks our lungs at the same time. Like, truly, what are we supposed to do? In dealing with grief, I have a series that I do with my sister. And in our last session, something came up, guidance came through, and she said, in all times of crisis, there are those who are called forward to be an example of what could be. I spoke in the last Clearing into Consciousness challenge about the ways in which my ancestors had chastised me for vibrating at the consciousness of the world instead of tapping into my own divine guidance. That somehow I had lost course, and it became necessary to do this process in this way, live, sharing with you, showing up again, because I'm not the same person that I was the last time those videos were recorded. And the work has evolved. And the time has shifted. The seasons have moved. The seasons have moved. We have moved. And we need a different understanding of what it is that we're doing. We're ready to go deeper. We're ready to be more honest. And we're ready to take the next step in our pursuit of consciousness. You might be wondering what was going on today that it took so long for me to be able to come online. It was taking me long to get online in here. On Wednesday, this past week, I was told I have something called, I am suffering with what is called clinical burnout. It's been a month, over a month, since I have had a consultation, facilitated a consultation. And even then it was a situation where it's a clients of mine who came through because they were in crisis at that moment, and they were looking at walking away from their marriage. And I knew that I have to intervene. So I allowed them to come. But even before then, it had been a month. So essentially it's been 2 months of me not working, me trying to center and resting in the ways that I think are rest. But it's impossible to get away from the fact that I have a lot of work in this world. And consultations are not my only job. Showing up in this space here is not my only job. And that's just when I'm talking about umsebenzi wedlozi and the ways in which my ancestors expect me to show up in this world. Someone might ask, if 2 days before the full moon, a doctor says to you that you have clinical burnout, why still carry on with something as demanding as holding space through a collective retreat? Let me tell you something, because I think that there are others here who are going through it too. Where you start to do the work, you start to move forward, and then you start to get sick, or you start to feel a certain type of terrible. And that's when many people abandon the work. They feel like it's not working, it's doing me bad, it's doing me harm, I need to rest. Forgetting that we stand in our own ways, in our own paths. We block ourselves in many ways. And it can be sickening to confront that. It can be exhausting to confront that. And the thing is, where we bring in the ancestors and we still hold out on them, like we are not a manifestation of them, like our skin, our bones, our neural pathways are not a manifestation of our ancestors. When we move through the world like that, denying them, and it's not an outward denial, it can be like there, somewhere in there, hiding even from yourself. They find ways to bring you to your knees. I say, in this house, we always take the knee. If, when dealing with the ancestors, you don't volunteer your knees, trust me, they will find a way to bring you to your knees. And I think, in many ways, I was shrinking myself and not allowing all of who I am to show up. And I had many stories, some of which still require further interrogation, and many of which do hold water. But there's a thin line between humility and playing small. I've played small. And I think the ancestors felt like I was in their way. So they got me out of the way. They pushed me out of the way. I often tell abantwana betong that the ancestors will push you to a point of surrender if you don't surrender yourself. And when I look at this clinical burnout, that's how I see it. I'm not surprised. I'm not shaken. It's not new to me. It's happened before, where they drive the workload like in a manner that is so unrelenting that I find myself tripping into trance and staying in trance for weeks at a time. And that's when I know that the ancestors are saying, I'm moving too slow for them. So all that there is left of me is for my body to show up and let them take over. Because if I show up in my human self, my wounded self, I would allow my own self-doubt to dim their divinity. And we all do that. We all, in one way or another, have that doubt. We have some level of anger, especially at a time like this, where everything just does not make sense. Anger at God for allowing such a horrific thing to be our reality. Anger at our ancestors for perhaps not protecting the ones that we love, or even us. And the thing about that anger is that ultimately it is anger at ourselves, because each and every one of us is a divine manifestation of God. being a living, breathing being. The soul that is in you is of God. We all come from a singular divine source. Whatever you call that source, whatever you name, you call our divine creator. We all come from them. And that is why certain work is most effective when we do it as a collective. And in doing this work collectively, today I'm going to ask that we allow ourselves, give ourselves permission to be worthy of our healing, to be worthy of the intention that we have set. We are deserving. We are worthy of healing. We are worthy of ascension. We are worthy of being comforted. We're allowed to believe in ourselves. Any one of my children would tell you that one thing about me, I believe in God more than I believe in myself. But you see, for too long, I've allowed self-doubt to play in a space that it didn't belong in my life. Not realizing that doubting myself made space for doubting God. When we doubt ourselves, we question our choices, we question our decisions, and we impede surrender. We don't trust God's timing. We start to wonder. We start to make up stories. And the thing is, sometimes you don't know that you're making up a story. We lie to ourselves in ways that make sense to us in order to stay stuck where it's comfortable. We say, oh no, guidance has said I shouldn't do this work now. I need to do work that is meditative. And you disregard the ways in which the work you've been called to do is meditative. I've been called to do work that is ancestral, and you disregard the ways in which the work you've been called to do is ancestral. I've been called to do work that is goal and action orientated, and you disregard the ways in which the work you've been called to do is goal and action orientated. Because you need a story that can keep you comfortable where you are. Today I'm going to ask you to be more honest with yourself than you have ever been before, and truly confront the reasons why you don't believe that you are worthy of your healing, that you don't believe that you are deserving of the intention that you have set. Because if we don't confront that truth, that we don't believe ourselves to be worthy somewhere in ourselves, then we can't get to the truth of our healing. If we believed ourselves to be worthy, we would have already manifested what it is that we are intending. That's just how the world works. Those are the laws of the universe. We manifest that which we believe ourselves to be worthy of. Remember, clearing into consciousness is the shadow work. Here we have to get in there, get under the carpet, sweep out the dust. Maybe you're a little scared. Maybe over the past 2 days, your dreamscape has shown you things that have scared you. Maybe people you trusted have been revealed to be untrustworthy. Well, this is clearing into consciousness. What has been done in darkness will come to light. If you're okay with admitting it, admitting that what you're being shown is what it is, then you can deal with it. You can move forward. This healing modality allows for you to step into this portal and have one-on-one conversations with your ancestors and receive answers from them that are undoubtedly clear. The only thing that stands between you and accepting the truth that you have been shown is your doubt. Your doubt in God, your doubt in yourself, your doubt in your ancestors. Because you believe that you're not worthy, you're not special enough, you don't have the gift. So how could you possibly see something for what it is? You start a new story, perhaps, and you say, maybe what you're being shown isn't what it is, but is actually an insecurity within yourself. At any other time, yes, sure. That's very likely. But when it's during this time, when you've actively opened a portal, called in your ancestors, set an intention, and they start to make it real in your life, and they show you what is blocking you, if you don't take the steps required to clear what is blocking you, then you don't believe yourself deserving of your intention. If you're angry, okay. You've been shown something, darkness, that someone has conspired against you. Uboniswe ubuthakathi, uboniswe okubi ngomngani, ngomuntu wakini, ngomuntu ophilisana naye. It happens. This is the world. It's not all love and light. Many things are done in darkness. You being shown what has been done in darkness is you being given the opportunity to take your power back. Take it back. Don't start a new story. Do you know when people do things in darkness, how hard they work to try and hide their steps? If things have been revealed to you, your ancestors are showing you the secrets of your adversaries. Use that information to liberate yourself so that you can now live in the truth of who you are and not under the influence of people of this world. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Situations like that require intervention. They require medicine. They require ceremony. They require cleansing. And very oftentimes, they require a healer to guide you through that process. I believe in self-healing. This right here is self-healing. But that doesn't mean that now you do all things yourself. That now you too, because you can dream, because you can be shown, Dlozinkulu nguwe. No. I'm not diminishing your power. I'm being responsible with the work that I've been given, because it is through that work that these things have been revealed to you. And I don't want you to be confused or to misunderstand. So take the necessary steps. And I'm not talking about now you also go to a healer, now you start attacking that person. No. Don't make your life into a game of tennis between people who vibrate so low that they try to drag you down into the mud with them. No. Cleanse, ascend, come out higher. The only thing they know is the mud. Yours is to ascend higher than they can reach. They remember where you were when they had access to you. You're in a different place now. You've already moved. Fortify yourself. Don't play with what you are. You're a divine manifestation of God. Your purpose in this life is divinely intended by your ancestors. The part of you that chose the bloodline that you were born into is the highest iteration of yourself. That is who chose your ancestors. That is who chose the journey that you find yourself on today. Your highest self knows intimately why you have to go through the challenges that you are facing in this moment. In Buddhism, there is a saying, turning poison into medicine. In Nichiren Buddhism, they speak of the lotus flower being the whitest and most beautiful flower, but it grows in muddy waters. In every crisis, there are those who must rise and show others through their example, not just their words, but through their deeds, what is possible. Because there's a life after this. For us who survive, for those who survive, there will be life after this. And that life must be lived. And we can't do it under the weight of all of the things that we've carried. It needs a different self to be manifest in this world. So with that being said, I'm inviting you to the final day of clearing into consciousness. I am Umakosi Nomabuto Msamo. I have enjoyed this journey with you very, very much. I have been honored to share in this journey with you. Without you, this work is not possible. If you have experienced a shift in your life through doing clearing into consciousness, I want to remind you today that this is the shadow work. It's part of your spiritual hygiene. And as much as it can help you progress, as absolutely it is designed to do, the next step that we have here at Sangoma Society, after clearing into consciousness, is pivoting into purpose. We use the same healing modality as we use here in clearing into consciousness for the purpose of manifesting our purpose, our divine purpose in God, in this realm. So if you're ready to begin living a life of purpose, if you're ready to have a daily practice between yourself and your ancestors, a relationship built on affirmation and love and encouragement, then I invite you to join Pivoting into Purpose. We say pivot because it's just a small shift from the path you're on to the path you should be on. Everything in your life has been preparing you for your destiny, but it's easy to minimize all the strides that you've made, all of the divine that you are, if you don't have the perspective through which to see it. If you need that perspective, if you're searching for that direction, then I invite you to join Pivoting into Purpose. Ngingumakhosi uNomabutho Emsamo. Sangoma Society has its own website now, sangomasociety.com. We're on all social media platforms. You can connect with us there. I am so glad that I did these live. It was challenging, it was not easy, but it was amazing. I don't know. Ningenza umuntu. This work is not possible without your participation. Your participation makes it real, manifests it into this world. And I want you to remember that. Until the next moon, and for those of you who will join Pivoting into Purpose, until the new moon, Makudedu Bumnyam, Kuvelu Bukhanya, Makos.